What is up? This is Hank366able, and as I said in my last video, in this one I will be doing my mock draft. I have it right here, and for each player, probably I'm going to say the pick, and then why I think they should take it, and a pro comparison for that player. So, obviously I'm not a fan of every team, and I know there's only 4 days till the draft, but if you think I made a bad pick for your team, please say in the comments, because I want to know what I do, because this is the first time I've ever posted a mock draft on YouTube. So with the first pick, I have the Browns picking Myles Garrett, defensive end, Texas A&M. Obvious number one pick. They'll be idiots if they pass up Myles Garrett. And I don't believe they had a lot of sacks or pressure last year. I mean, they have needs everywhere, obviously, coming off the 1-15 season. And my pro comparison for Garrett is Von Miller. They were both from Texas A&M, both going to be high first-round picks. And I think the Browns could love a franchise player to build around defense in Garrett. Second pick, I have the 49ers selecting Jamal Adams, safety, LSU. The main reason is because I believe their new general manager is John Lynch, and he was a former safety, so I think he would want to pick a safety, and I don't believe they have any elite players in their secondary. And I think Adams can definitely be an elite safety. He's my favorite safety in this class. I believe he'll be like a Earl Thomas type safety. Third pick, Chicago Bears, Solomon Thomas, defensive end, Stanford. That's a player who's risen a lot, and it was either between him or Jonathan Allen, but the Bears can definitely add another high elite player to their defensive line with that first round pick, top 5 pick. And Solomon Thomas, I think, can be like maybe I don't know, I don't really have a pro comparison for him, but I can maybe say it. I can put an annotation if I find one. Fourth pick, Jacksonville Jaguars, Leonard Fournette, running back, LSU. He's the best running back in this class, far and away. He's that top 5 running back pick like Adrian Peterson was, Ezekiel Elliott was, and they're all elite. So I think he's a bigger back. He's like 240 pounds, but I think he can definitely be and he's not really the same kind of playing style as Adrian Peterson, but that's who I think he's going to be as a top 5 pick running back. The Jaguars don't really have a solid running back. They have T.J. Yeldon and Chris Ivory. I think they could use a bell cow back like Fournette. Fifth pick, I have the Titans via Rams selecting Jonathan Allen, defensive lineman from Alabama. This is just best player available. Allen's definitely a top 5 pick, and he's fallen past the first 4 picks, and you can definitely wouldn't mind to add Allen, who is a long line of great Alabama defensive linemen like Marcel Darius, and my Detroit Lions, A'Shawn Robinson, our second-round pick last year. Sixth pick, Jets, Marshon Lattimore, cornerback, Ohio State. They just released Darrelle Revis, who definitely was in the twilight of his career. And Marshon Lattimore is the best cornerback in this class. He can be the next Darrelle Revis for the Jets. And then 7th pick, the Chargers. I have them picking Malik Hooker, safety, Ohio State. And that's next 2 straight Ohio State Buckeyes here. That's mostly because they lost Eric Weddle a few years ago, and they still really haven't found that safety to replace him. 8, the Panthers. This is the first kind of shocker pick. I have Dalvin Cook, running back, Florida State, and that's because Jonathan Stewart's getting old, and Dalvin Cook's still a great running back. He's just not as good as Fournette. And Dalvin Cook Cam Newton will love having an elite running back beside him, and it'll definitely help out the Panthers. Ninth pick, I have the first offensive lineman going to Cincinnati, Cam Robinson, offensive tackle from Alabama. This may be a bit of a reach, but they just lost Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler, so their offensive line, they can improve there with losing the people in free agency, and I think Robinson's the best offensive lineman in this class. And the Buffalo Bills, I have selecting O.J. Howard at 10, tight end from Alabama. And O.J. Howard is the best tight end to come out of the draft in a while. And the 10th pick was exactly where Eric Ebron went a few years ago, who was the hype top 10 pick tight end. So I think that's about where Howard's going to go. And the Bills could get Tyrod Taylor some more weapons, because he really only has Sammy Watkins. 11, I have the Saints selecting Quincy Wilson, cornerback from Florida. That's because their secondary isn't really that good, and they've never really had a top tier defense with Drew Brees, and the offense basically carrying the whole thing. And Quincy Wilson will add to their secondary and maybe be a number one corner for them. And then the Browns again at 12. Here I have them taking Mitch Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina, and that's because they need a quarterback. The Browns always need a quarterback, and Mitch Trubisky's from, the Cleveland area, and he's said he's a fan of the Browns and would like to go there, and I don't feel any team ahead of the Browns will pick Trubisky. I mean, I don't think they need to waste the number one pick on Trubisky when they have Garrett, and they can easily get Trubisky at 12, and I have a pro comparison for Trubisky. His playstyles and size sort of reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he's like a raw Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think he can be as good as Aaron Rodgers. And 13, Arizona Cardinals, Corey Davis, wide receiver, Western Michigan. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan, which is where Western Michigan is, and it's just so awesome to see a Western player get so much love that Davis has gotten, and being a top 20, maybe even top 10 pick. And it'd be awesome to see him go to the Cardinals and learn from Larry Fitzgerald, one of the best, and take over as the Cardinals' number one receiver when Fitzgerald retires. And Davis is just so good. He's my favorite wide receiver, mostly hometown bias, but I really think he is the best. He's the all-time FBS receiver, leading receiver. And YouTube search Corey Davis one-handed catch, and you'll agree with me. 14, Philadelphia Eagles, Christian McCaffrey, running back from Stanford. Might be a bit high for McCaffrey. I already have 3 running backs going. But Christian McCaffrey is a great playmaker. Add to the Eagles and give... they had Carson Wentz last year. Now give Carson Wentz a good running back to go along with him, because they didn't really have a really good running back last year. Colts, then... At 15, I have them taking Derek Barnett, defensive end, Tennessee. Mostly the reason I thought this pick is because Barnett's really great. I think he's good value here. And they had Robert Mathis retire, so he can replace Robert Mathis. Baltimore, I have the next best receiver, Mike Williams from Clemson. He's a big jump ball guy. I'd like him to follow the Lions so he could be the next Calvin Johnson, but I don't think he will. I think the Ravens will like him because they've never really had they had Steve Smith retire, and they never really had a number one receiver under Joe Flacco. 17, I have the Redskins taking Reuben Foster, linebacker from Alabama, and this is just a good value pick because Foster's a top 10 pick, but he may fall due to his off-the-field issues. And I think the Redskins would be the first team, to scoop him up, later. Reuben Foster is the best linebacker to come out of the draft since Luke Kuechly. That's my opinion. Tennessee Titans, 18, that's their real pick. Their first pick was via the Rams. They take John Ross, wide receiver, Washington. Marcus Mariota has not had a big target yet. And John Ross isn't really the size of a number one receiver, but he can run. He's a deep threat. I'm sure it'll be fun to have John Ross. 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Jabrill Peppers, safety from Michigan. Well, Jabrill Peppers gets more hate than any other player in this draft, and that's mostly just because he is never really played safety at Michigan. But I think he can be a good athlete, and he can return kicks. I think he'll be a great kick returner, but I don't think he'll be an elite safety. I think he'll be mostly a role player on defense. 20, Denver Broncos, Ryan Ramscyk, offensive tackle, Wisconsin. Every single mock draft I see, his name is mispronounced, so I made sure to get that pronunciation right. He's the second best offensive tackle, I believe, behind Cam Robinson. And he was only played 1 year, just like Garrett Bowles, the other offensive tackle. He only played 1 year at FBS level. But I think he's great, and the Broncos need offensive line to protect either Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch, whoever they start. And 21, my favorite team, the Detroit Lions. I was picking Haason Reddick, linebacker from Temple. The next mock draft I see that has us picking David Njoku, I hate you. Njoku is Eric Ebron 2.0, and we don't need Eric Ebron 2.0. Haason Reddick went to Temple. Our current middle linebacker, Tahir Whitehead, went to Temple, so we can have an all-Temple linebacking core. And Haason Reddick's awesome. And Bob Quinn said he wants to add speed, and Haason Reddick ran the fastest time out of any linebacker at the Combine, 4.52. Haason Reddick will be awesome next to his former Temple teammate, Tahir Whitehead, and I think it'll be a great linebacking core. 22, Miami Dolphins, Forrest Lamp, guard, Western Kentucky. They're moving Laramie Tunsil out to left tackle, I believe, so they can draft someone to take over Tunsil's old spot at guard. 23, the Giants, David Njoku, tight end, Miami. Like I said before, Eric Ebron 2.0. And I think that Eric Ebron's just benefited from poor, like he hasn't been used enough. I think if you use Njoku enough, he'll be good with the Giants, and he has a good quarterback throwing to him, and Eli. 24, Oakland Raiders, Tack McKinley, linebacker from UCLA. Maybe not the biggest need, but I feel like they can. Tack McKinley's a good value pick for them here, and he's a good pass rusher. And the Raiders were last in the NFL in sacks last year, even though they had Khalil Mack, which is kind of weird. So they could definitely use some pass rush help. 25, Texans, Patrick Mahomes, quarterback, Texas Tech. A bit of a shocker, but I mean, they're not going to have Tom Savage as their starter next season. And I figure Deshaun Kaiser is still on the board, Deshaun Watson's still on the board, but I think they're going to go with the Texas guy here because, like, hometown value, and statistically, Mahomes had a better career than those two, but he might just be the Texas Tech system. But I think they would go with Mahomes. Then 26, Seattle, Garrett Bowles, tackle Utah. They had maybe the worst offensive line in the NFL, and they can definitely use some help. And Garrett Bowles, like Ryan Ramscyk, also played only 1 year at the FBS level, but he's definitely a great player. He was, I believe, the top JUCO player in the nation a few years ago, so he's definitely capable. The only thing holding him back is that he'll be 25 when the season starts. But it doesn't matter. He'll still have a good career in the NFL. Then, the big shocker, 27, Kansas City Chiefs, Joe Mixon, running back Oklahoma. I heard Mixon, despite his incident, may actually still be drafted in the first round. I think the Chiefs are on the team that would like him, and they're a big contender, and they could use a elite running back, and I think Mixon is an elite running back. And then Dallas, another kind of shocker here. I have them picking Sidney Jones, cornerback from Washington. And this is because obviously Jones is hurt, and he might not play this season, but what did they do last season? They picked Jalen Smith, who was injured and didn't play all last season, but they knew he would still be able to contribute eventually, so I see them doing the same thing with Sidney Jones, and they definitely need a good cornerback after losing Claiborne and Carr. 29, Green Bay Packers, this is a no-brainer pick for them. Garrett Conley, cornerback, Ohio State. They cut Sam Shields. They don't really have a good corner. Garrett Conley is definitely better than 29. I think they'll be amazed to see Garrett Conley still on the board at 29, and they got their good corner for years to come. Pittsburgh at 30, T.J. Watt, linebacker, Wisconsin. I don't know if this is a big need for them, but I feel T.J. Watt's going to go in the first round unless he just cuts his last name is Watt. If his name was T.J. Johnson, he would not be going in the first round, but due to his DNA, he's a first rounder, and I feel like some team's going to want to get him, and this draft just happens to be Pittsburgh. And I don't think he's really similar to his brother, because his brother is more of like a big, strong defensive end, and Watt's more like a pass-rushing outside linebacker. But I still think that it'll be another team's going to want to grab their own Watt brother. 31, the Falcons, Taco Charlton, defensive end, Michigan. Just a good value pick. Taco Charlton could go much earlier in the first round, and maybe he'll fall due to he only started 1 year. But I feel like maybe the Falcons would grab him. And then, with the final pick, the New Orleans Saints quarterback Deshaun Watson out of Clemson. And this is just, they traded this pick with the Patriots, and I feel like they already got a good talent earlier in the draft in Quincy Wilson. I believe that's who I had them selecting. So they can just get Drew Brees' success right here. They don't really have a thing planned for when Drew Brees decides to retire. Now, obviously, he doesn't have many years left. But why not just grab the national championship, Heisman finalist, quarterback out of Clemson, and I think that would be a good pick. So that is my mock draft, and that's my first time ever filming myself saying one, so hopefully you like it, and if you see it next 4 days before the draft, please give opinion. I want to know how good I did.